Imagine a night when you're safe in your own room, but suddenly, the air turns cold, the lights flicker, and you hear footsteps outside your door. You think it's just your mind playing tricks, until the doorknob starts to turn. This isn't a movie, this is the chilling reality behind the world's most haunted castles. From Scotland to Japan, their walls hide secrets so dark, they were built not to keep people out, but to keep something far worse locked in. But here's the real twist: what if those locks are breaking, one by one? And what if what escaped is already here, in America, maybe even inside your home? Agar aap is kahani ka pura res jan na chat hain, or I say high or dark, suspenseful stories sun na chat hain. To ubi subscribe carrion, comment me apmi sak zeror batayan, or video kon tak dikin, kyunki jo aap sunani whale hain, wa apki nin yuta dega. Imagine walking through the streets of New York late at night, the city lights glowing behind you, but your heart heavy with the thought of secrets that even America can't bury. People talk about haunted houses, ghost towns, abandoned hotels, but what if I told you there are castles in this world that hold stories darker than any nightmare you've heard, and their walls whisper to those brave enough to listen? The first is Glamis Castle in Scotland, a place that feels like it was carved out of shadow itself. Tourists see beauty, towers, and fairy tale walls, but locals know the truth: inside lives the legend of the monster of Glamis. A hidden child, locked away for life, his twisted soul said to roam the halls, dragging chains that echo in the silence. Guards speak of doors that lead to nowhere, sealed chambers that no one dares open. And even now, people swear when you pass through at night, the windows burn with unseen eyes. Then there's Leap Castle in Ireland, often called the most haunted castle in the world. Imagine walking into its chapel, the air colder than the winter streets of Chicago. Locals whisper about the bloody chapel, where family turned on family, and blood stained the stone floor forever. Travelers claim to hear chanting when no one is inside, candles blowing out on their own, and the presence of something far older than any human soul, the elemental, a spirit so ancient and hateful that it smells of rotting flesh before it appears. People run, but its echo follows them in their dreams. Drift with me to Bran Castle in Romania, the home of Vlad the Impaler, the figure who birthed the legend of Dracula. Americans love vampire stories, but standing in the castle itself is nothing like Hollywood. The wind carries screams down the corridors, and shadows stretch too far to belong to any man. Tourists vanish into the silence for just moments, then return pale, swearing they were watched the entire time. Some say the soil itself rejects the living, as if the ground remembers the cruelty of its master. Now, hear the name Himeji Castle in Japan. A world away from the bustle of Los Angeles streets, this pristine white fortress hides a ghost story so chilling it crosses cultures. Okiku's well, they call it. A servant girl, betrayed and killed, her body thrown into the depths. To this day, people swear they hear her voice counting plates over and over, never reaching the end, never resting. And in the silence of night, a sudden scream rises, piercing like broken glass in your chest. But the last, Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany, feels like stepping into a dream that twists into a nightmare. Built by a king who drowned in mystery, its beauty masks sorrow. Locals believe his spirit walks the castle grounds, trapped in his unfinished paradise. Visitors report lights flickering in rooms that have no power, the sound of footsteps pacing above them in locked towers. Some even claim to see the king himself, staring out the window, as though waiting for someone who never comes back. And here's the loop you can't escape: why do so many of these castles, scattered across the world, carry the same darkness? Why do their walls seem alive, as if stone itself can remember pain? What if it's not just history? What if every castle is a doorway, and one day, someone opens the wrong one? And if that door opens, what comes through may not be something we can close again. Think of it, these castles built hundreds of years ago, their foundations soaked in betrayal, blood, and grief. In the United States, we pride ourselves on skyscrapers and steel, on building toward the sky, but across the ocean they built fortresses. Places that could trap not just people, but memories. Spirits. Energy that doesn't die. Now imagine standing in one of those halls. The air is colder than it should be. Your breath lingers too long in front of you. Your footsteps echo, but there's a rhythm off, like another set of feet walking beside you, just out of view. You tell yourself it's nothing, but deep down you feel it. That instinct every American kid knows from childhood ghost stories, sitting around a fire, clutching a flashlight when the power goes out during a storm. And then the whispers start. Some say it's in your head. Others swear it's the stone itself, speaking in voices not your own. The loop circles back to the same question: are these just haunted castles, or are they prisons? What if they're not keeping spirits in? What if they're keeping something far worse from getting out? And if that's true, then every legend we laugh about, every midnight tale told in college dorms, every Halloween haunted house walked through in small American towns, suddenly feels like a shadow of something real. Something waiting. Think about it. Why do tourists go missing for hours inside Bran Castle, only to reappear disoriented, unable to recall where they've been? Why do workers at Leap Castle quit after a single night, swearing they'll never return? Why are rooms in Glamis Castle still sealed to this very day, as though someone fears opening them? It's too consistent to be coincidence. And yet, here's the strangest part: no matter how far these castles are from one another, the stories share the same thread. The footsteps, the whispers, the feeling of being watched, the doors that lead nowhere. Like each castle is echoing the same voice, repeating the same warning, but in different tongues. So ask yourself, what if these places are connected? What if every haunted castle is part of the same design, built not just as fortresses of war, but as locks? Locks for something that doesn't belong in our world. And the real question isn't whether the locks hold. It's who, or what, is still trying to get out. Picture the silence inside those stone walls, a silence so heavy it feels alive. Now imagine that silence breaking, not with screams, not with footsteps, but with a sound none of us can describe. A vibration deep in your chest, like the hum of machinery but older, more primal. Travelers speak of this. Not in guidebooks, never in official tours, but whispered over drinks at roadside bars in small American towns after they've returned. They say once you've been inside one of these castles, you carry it with you. In your sleep, you see corridors you've never walked. You hear doors unlocking in the dark, keys turning in locks no one can see. And sometimes, back home, thousands of miles away, the feeling follows. A faint knock at the wall when you're alone. The flicker of light in a room you left dark. A shadow crossing the hall when no one else is awake. It's as if the castles don't just hold what's inside them. They send it with you. Like the locks are loosening, one visitor at a time. And if that's true, if the cracks are already spreading, then maybe the question isn't when one of the doors finally opens. Picture the silence inside those stone walls, a silence so heavy it feels alive. Now imagine that silence breaking, not with screams, not with footsteps, but with a sound none of us can describe. A vibration deep in your chest, like the hum of machinery but older, more primal. Travelers speak of this. Not in guidebooks, never in official tours, but whispered over drinks at roadside bars in small American towns after they've returned. They say once you've been inside one of these castles, you carry it with you. In your sleep, you see corridors you've never walked. You hear doors unlocking in the dark, keys turning in locks no one can see. And sometimes, back home, thousands of miles away, the feeling follows. A faint knock at the wall when you're alone. The flicker of light in a room you left dark. A shadow crossing the hall when no one else is awake. It's as if the castles don't just hold what's inside them. They send it with you. Like the locks are loosening, one visitor at a time. And if that's true, if the cracks are already spreading, then maybe the question isn't when one of the doors finally opens. Maybe the question is, what if it already has? And if it already has, then the signs we dismiss as superstition might be the proof we've been ignoring. The rise in people claiming they see figures at the edge of their bed at night. The sudden chills in homes built nowhere near a graveyard. Entire neighborhoods in the United States reporting the same shadow, described the same way, as if they'd all seen it standing under a street lamp that wasn't even lit. What if that's not coincidence? What if something slipped through from one of those castles, followed someone back across the ocean, and now it's here, woven into our streets, our cities, our homes? Think of the places we already avoid in America, the abandoned prisons, the derelict hotels, the houses no realtor dares show twice. We tell ourselves they're haunted by our own history, by tragedies on our soil. But what if that's not the whole story? What if those places aren't haunted because of what happened there? What if they're haunted because something found them? Something searching for cracks, for weak walls, for another doorway. And the scariest thought of all is this. What if one night, while you're sleeping safe in your own bed, you hear that same vibration? The hum that doesn't belong. And when you open your eyes, you realize the castle isn't across the ocean anymore. It's already inside your home. The air feels wrong, heavier than it should, pressing down on your chest like you've woken up underwater. The hum grows louder, rattling through the frame of your house, shaking picture frames on the walls, and then it stops, sudden, sharp, leaving only silence. And that's when you hear it. A single footstep on the floor outside your bedroom door. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. You want to believe it's a dream, the same way people in those castles convince themselves it's just the wind. But deep down, you know the truth, you've never heard a sound like this before. It doesn't belong in your home. It doesn't belong anywhere. The floor creaks again, closer this time, and then the doorknob shifts. Just slightly. Just enough to prove that something is on the other side. You remember every story, every warning about the castles, the whispers of locked doors and sealed chambers. You realize now, they weren't built to keep us out. They were built to keep this from getting in. And yet, somehow, it found its way across the ocean. Somehow, it found you. The doorknob stops turning, but the silence that follows is worse than the sound itself. You lie frozen, every nerve screaming to move, to hide, to scream, but you can't. Your body knows something your mind won't admit. If you make a sound, it will hear you. Then, faintly, comes the whisper. Not from behind the door. Not from the hall. From inside the room. A breath against your ear, low, almost broken, as though 1,000 voices are speaking through one mouth. Words you can't understand, but you feel them anyway, like they're carving themselves into your bones. Your eyes dart across the room, searching the shadows, but the shadows don't look the same anymore. They stretch, too long for the furniture that casts them, bending upward, touching the ceiling, twisting as if alive. And in the corner, something moves. Not fast, not sudden, but with a patience that feels more terrifying than violence. You think back to the legends, to the castles, to the warnings whispered across centuries. They always said the same thing: don't open the door. Don't break the seal. Don't let it follow you. But you didn't open anything. You never asked it in. So how did it find its way to you? Maybe the question is, what if it already has? The shape in the corner leans forward, and the air drops colder than any winter night you've ever known. Your breath clouds in front of you, trembling like it wants to run. The hum begins again, low and steady, vibrating through the walls, through your chest, through your teeth, until it feels like the sound is inside your skull. Your eyes lock onto the shadow, but the longer you stare, the less it looks like a shadow at all. The edges sharpen, forming something that shouldn't exist, arms too long, fingers that taper into points, a face blurred as if the air itself refuses to show you what it really looks like. And then you hear the counting. 1, 2, 3. A woman's voice, faint, echoing as if it's coming from a well deep underground. You remember Okiku from Himeji Castle, forever counting plates, forever unfinished. 4, 5, 6. The voice rises, circling the room, though nothing moves but the figure in the corner, closer now, as though pulled forward with every number. 7, 8. Your pulse pounds louder than the counting, louder than the hum, but your body won't respond. You can't run. You can't scream. You can only wait as the next number falls. 9. And the whisper at your ear again, finishing the count for her. 10. The word slams into your chest like a door shutting in the dark. 10. The counting stops, but the silence that follows feels alive, breathing, pressing down around you like invisible hands. The figure in the corner straightens, taller now, its head nearly brushing the ceiling. The blurred face flickers, shifting, like it's wearing pieces of every ghost story you've ever heard. A pale woman's eyes. A soldier's broken jaw. A king's crown bent in half. All flashing in and out, as though it's not one thing, but many, all trapped together. And then the smell hits. Damp stone. Rotting wood. The same scent tourists described when they fled Leap Castle, the one they swore clung to their clothes for weeks after. But your home isn't stone, it isn't wood, it shouldn't smell like this. You realize the truth too late. The castles were never just haunted. They were containers. Vessels. Holding back fragments of something vast, something that could only be scattered and locked away piece by piece. And now, one of those pieces is standing in your bedroom. It leans closer. The hum grows violent, shaking the glass in the windows, rattling the floorboards, making your heartbeat stumble in your chest. And in a voice layered with centuries, it finally speaks a word you understand. Unlocked. The sound of that single word doesn't fade, it echoes, stretching too long, as though the walls themselves are repeating it. Unlocked. Your lamp flickers, sputters, then dies. The room is swallowed in black. But the figure doesn't vanish. Its outline glows faintly now, as if lit from within, like fire smoldering behind skin made of smoke. And then the walls shift. Not cracking, not breaking, asterisk moving, asterisk the corners stretch farther away, the ceiling rising, the floor sinking, until your bedroom doesn't feel like your bedroom anymore. It feels endless, like stone corridors are bleeding into it, castles overlapping in impossible angles. You see a spiral staircase where your closet should be, a torch burning where your window once was. Every castle. Every lock. All layered here, in this space that should never exist. The figure steps forward, and with each movement, you see flashes behind it, Glamis, Leap, Bran, Himeji, Neuschwanstein. Halls twisting into one another, all leading here. And the whisper comes again, not from the figure this time, but from the walls themselves, hundreds of voices layered into one, speaking directly into your bones. The door is open. Your body finally moves, but only enough for your hand to clutch the sheets tight. You want to run, but where would you go? The bedroom is gone. Home is gone. The world outside your door doesn't exist anymore. And then, through the endless corridor of shifting stone, you see it. Another shadow. Taller. Darker. Waiting. The taller shadow doesn't move at first, it just waits, towering at the far end of the shifting corridor, its presence swallowing every flicker of torchlight until the glow bends away from it. You can't see its face, only the vast outline, stretching wider than the doorway it stands within. The figure closer to you lowers its head, almost bowing toward the greater shadow, like a servant greeting its master. The hum that had filled your chest goes silent, replaced by something worse, asterisk the sound of breathing, asterisk slow, cavernous, not from lungs but from somewhere deeper, like the inhale of the earth itself. The walls pulse with each breath. Stone flexing. Shadows crawling. Your own chest rises and falls in perfect rhythm with it, not because you want to, but because you can't stop. It's breathing for you. Then the servant shadow turns its blurred face toward yours, and the voice returns. All locks fall. One by one. Until only the first remains. Behind it, the larger shadow shifts, and the ground trembles beneath you. You realize the castles weren't scattered prisons after all, they were chains. Links in something greater, holding back a weight you can't even imagine. And now, standing here, in what used to be your bedroom, you understand the truth that no legend dared to finish. The chains aren't breaking. They're already broken. The ground beneath you shudders, dust and fragments of stone raining from a ceiling that no longer belongs to your home. The air grows so thick it claws at your throat, each breath like swallowing smoke. You try to move, but your body is heavy, pinned by the gravity of something ancient pressing down from all sides. The smaller figure drifts closer, its blurred face bending unnaturally as if trying to mimic a human expression. Its lips part, and though its mouth doesn't move in rhythm, the voice that comes through is clear, layered with countless tones. You should not see this. Yet you are chosen to. Behind it, the colossal shadow steps forward at last. Each stride shakes the corridor like thunder. It doesn't walk like a man, it moves as if the entire space is folding around it, bending to let it through. The torches along the walls die one by one as it advances, leaving only darkness in its wake. And then you see its hand. Not flesh, not bone, something that looks carved from the same black stone as the castles themselves. The fingers scrape the wall, and wherever they touch, the stone bleeds, red seeping down like fresh wounds opening in ancient rock. Your heartbeat hammers against your ribs, but it's not your rhythm anymore. It matches the footsteps. Each thud inside your chest synced perfectly with the giant's approach. You know, without words, without reason, what this thing is. Not a ghost. Not a spirit. The thing the castles were built to chain. And now the chains are gone. The giant shadow halts just a breath away, its sheer size blotting out every trace of the world behind it. The servant shadow lowers to the ground, dissolving into the stone like smoke sucked through cracks, leaving you alone in its presence. The silence is unbearable, thicker than sound itself, until the figure leans forward. You expect a roar, a scream, some violent eruption of rage, but what comes instead is worse. A whisper. It pours directly into your mind, soft as wind through broken glass. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Images flood your vision, Glamis, Leap, Bran, Himeji, Neuschwanstein, each one flashing like lightning, each one unraveling, their walls crumbling, their chambers splitting open. And with every collapse, something vast, something formless, spills out into the world. You see oceans swallowing cities. Forests bending under invisible weight. Skyscrapers splitting like kindling, their steel frames shrieking as if alive. And through it all, that same whisper. All locks fall. The vision snaps back, and you're on the floor of your room again, drenched in sweat, your breath ragged. The lamp flickers once, steadying. The walls are whole. The closet is just a closet. The window is only glass. But your heartbeat hasn't returned to your own. It still pounds in that impossible rhythm. And as you stare into the corner where the shadow once stood, you know the truth with a clarity that chills you deeper than the vision. The castles didn't fail. They passed something on. And tonight, that lock is you.